Hey guys, and welcome back to another one. Now today we are going to take a quick look at the Xiaomi TV 4a, both as a TV and also on the Android side of things, so that hopefully at the end of the video it will help you to decide if this is the TV for you or not. And we are back. So looking at the TV itself, which is what it is, it's all made of plastic. Now it's nothing spectacular, but not bad either. I would say that for a budget TV, it's quite good actually. In terms of bezels, they are quite good, measuring only 1 centimeter on the sides and top, and then 2 centimeters at the bottom. In terms of navigation, there's only one single button at the bottom of the TV that will turn on and off the TV, which we can also of course use the remote for that, which also has a few more power options. At the back we will find an Ethernet port, 2 HDMI inputs, 2 USB 2.0 ports, 1 coaxial antenna input, 1 RCA input, 1 audio output, along with the VESA mount. And in terms of the thickest point of the TV, I did measure about 5.5 centimeters, which is not bad for this price range. Now moving along to the image quality, honestly I don't have any complaints whatsoever in terms of resolution or image quality. It has a 1080 IPS display. According to the specifications, it supports HDR 10-bit. I honestly don't have any HDR content, so I couldn't test it out, but as far as the image quality goes, it's quite nice for the value. I see no noticeable light bleed, nice darks and whites with a bit of reflection, as you guys will have the chance to see on screen. Also have in mind that the camera will not capture as good as we see with our own eyes. So in terms of a budget TV, I'm really happy with the TV itself. In terms of the TV channels, I did try to search for the channels that I've got. I've got a cable service with roughly 150 channels. I was only able to get 23 out of all of those that I've got. I'm not really sure if it's my cable provider that doesn't give me as many in coaxial or analog as digital, or if it's some settings on the TV that I will need to change. But as far as everything that I searched so far, I wasn't able to get more channels than this. Now, leaving the TV aside and moving to the Android side of things, what I can say is that by default, everything comes in Chinese and it's a bit messy. Nonetheless, if we search online, it's really easy to change to English, and not everything will be translated to English. The launcher will keep its main tabs and names and so on and so forth with Chinese characters. Now when we turn the TV on, it will go always to that default launcher, which can be a little bit annoying. Nonetheless, we can avoid that by going to the options and then press to make the TV go directly into an HDMI source or TV source when it puts. By the way, in terms of time that the TV will take to turn on since we press the button until we have image, as you guys may have seen on the image, it's roughly 20 to 25 seconds, just because the TV will not launch the TV only, but it will also launch the Android engine running behind, so that will delay the process. Now moving along to the launchers, which was one thing that I was curious. I did install other launchers. We can use them, but we can't make them default. Even going to the settings and make it default, it will not work as default, which means that we will always revert to that patch wall launcher or the default launcher of the TV. Now I did find out that the best way to move around with the smart functions of the TV is to go to My Apps folder and then use the TV navigation, which is not bad at all. When we press twice on the Home button, it will give us the option more or less similar to Android TV OS, and then we can scroll through the apps that we already have launched and then just move around to one side and the other, avoiding that Chinese launcher that it's on the main screen. And this is far from being perfect, but it was the best way that I could find to use the TV or the Android side of this TV without having to go to that Chinese launcher, which honestly is the only thing that I didn't like so much. but as you guys could see by some images, it's not bad at all once we start to use the TV and learn how to avoid that launcher right over there. Now, in terms of the Android, a few more things that I would like to share is one of them at this moment, we are not able to install the Play Store. So in second, at least personally, my favorite apps to install other apps is the Aptoide, Aptoide TV, and Setters Play. And basically what these apps do is that we can install other apps without the need to go and search for AP keys and then insert to a USB and then install and so on. Here we will work as we would on the Google Play Store, just search the app that we want and then press the install button and that app will install and we can play around with it and so on and so forth. And talking about apps, lastly, I would like to share with you guys the apps that I've tested. Some of them did work really well, some of them didn't work at all, but starting with the ones that worked. First one, the Netflix app, worked just fine. Don't expect more than SD quality of 480p resolution, but in terms of the app itself, works great. Kodi using version 18 alpha at this moment. I did install using the Aptoide TV, and in terms of the experience itself, worked great. I did test out with some footages, 10-bit, 8-bit, H.264, H.265 codecs, and even my movie library did play around from the network without any issues. Next, I did test out Plex, playing MKV files, my Blu-ray movies from my NAS, and everything just flawless. YouTube was the next app that I did test out. It plays fine up to 1080, smooth playback and no dropped frames, as you guys can see by the image. I also installed Spotify for TV, which I love to use this app on any Android TV box, but the TV version, which is the one that you are seeing on screen, works just great. Skype also works, but if you are wondering if you can use your Logitech webcam, which I did test it out with it, it doesn't work with the webcam. So we can use Skype for audio, but not for video, at least with the webcam that I've got, which is the Logitech C920. Next, I also tested Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and as you can see, a classic running really well on the TV. Beach Buggy was the next one, which is a game that I didn't play for quite some time, but really funny to play, as you guys can see. And then lastly, game streaming, which is one of my favorite things to do on any Android TV box, and I did test it out on the Mi TV 4a. As you guys can see, 1080, 60 frames per second, streaming games from my computer to the TV itself without any Android TV box. And what I can say is that it's a flawless experience. I had no delays, no lags whatsoever. Here we are talking about game streaming. I'm not using any computer to connect directly to the TV. I'm using the TV to connect to the network and grab those games from my PC. If you guys are not aware of what I'm talking about, just search my channel. I've got a lot of videos in that detail. Now, I've given you guys a few moments to check out the games. First game that I did test out was Gas Guzzlers, one of my favorite, just run flawless. And then the next game was Rocket League, with a great experience as well. Everything really smooth and nice, the way that we want to play. Now, things that did not work were respawnables, Asphalt 8, Asphalt Extreme, Geekbench 4. I was a bit curious to test out this benchmark, which I always use for any computer that comes, or any machine that comes to my hand. And there were a few others that I can't recall that didn't work as well. So what I can say is that there will be a lot more apps that will work, and there will be a lot more apps that will not work. It just depends on the app that we will try to install, because in terms of Android, we will be limited in some factors, one of which is we will always have that Chinese menus that we will try to avoid, especially for those like myself that are not Chinese speaking persons. But that's one of the limitations, and the other limitation is that we don't have Play Store, and some apps, even using third-party apps, will not work. So in conclusion, guys, if you ask me, hey Robert, is it worth it to get this TV? It depends on how we are going to use. Here where I live at this moment, I can get a 1080, more or less the same build quality, more or less the same panel, for the same price, but without the Android side of things. And even the Mi TV being limited on the Android, we can actually use it on some apps, and those that work really well. So for anyone looking at a budget TV with a bonus of having an Android system that will work for some apps, it's not a bad choice at all, because the other options on the market are getting a budget TV plus an Android TV box, or more expensive, get a TV with Android system, which will be more expensive. And here I would say that it's not worth it. It's worth it to get a TV and then the Android box that we want. And that is it, guys. Hopefully this video was helpful in some way, and if it was, don't forget that usual thumbs up. Any questions, don't forget to leave them down below. My name is Roberto, and I'll see you guys on the next one.